This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
For them, the Dolphins, they ended up trading Raekwon Mcmillan. So, and the whole thing was they traded him with a 5th rounder to the Raiders to get a 4th rounder to move up in the draft, basically, is what they did. And look, you have to understand, this isn't a failed pick because when you drafted him, you had a different defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator, different philosophies. And Raekwon Mcmillan can be a good player for a certain defense. You're going to have to get him off the field on 3rd down. To Miami's credit, they figured out a way to help him out and make him a little bit more of a pass rusher. So that way he's not necessarily covering. But remember, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago. I don't know what it was. I'm sure Bill will tell me what day and what segment it was soon. But we told you about where Raekwon Mcmillan was at, that he wasn't a multi-dimensional player. And in order to play on this football team, offensively or defensively, when they scout you, they're going to find out first and foremost, do you have any limitations? And if you do, oh, that's it. We're off. We're out of here. We're done. And that's the way it is. They're probably not going to sign those kind of guys. Now, Jordan Howard, we explained to you that has limitations. He's not a great pass catcher. But you can do different things with Howard on the field. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so the linebacker sees him and he thinks run. But the problem is if Malcolm Perry's back there with him, is it really a run? Could it be a pass to Malcolm Perry? You know what I mean? Could you be sending out Malcolm Perry and then your linebacker has to flank out and follow him, and then you still hand it off to Howard and he pounds it through with one less linebacker in the box? You know what I mean? So there's different things you can do to loosen things up. And with Howard, even if it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, it's still obvious what you're going to do on offense, even without Howard. Okay? If it's 3rd and 1, there's a good chance you're not passing. Unless you're, Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl and, you have Marshawn Lynch and you're like, no, we'll pass. More often than not, you're running the ball. Everybody knows it with or without Jordan Howard. But you want Jordan Howard if it's a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1 because that big fat dude is going to fall down for 3 yards. So he'll get 1 with no problem, okay? He's going to fall for 4. You know what I mean? So those limitations on his case, you can do things with it that can still benefit your team, and you're not necessarily, so obvious. You know what I mean? You could also put Howard back there and make it obvious that you're going to run, and that's where you play action because you sucked in the linebackers when you fake the handoff and boom, over the top. Gesicki, whatever, Parker, Preston Williams, you name it. We got a couple of those guys that can go over the top. And so Raekwon is a guy that can't cover. Okay? It's over. He can't cover. And you cannot play linebacker on this team if you're not multiple. That is one of those positions that they need you, you must be multiple. And so now that you switch defenses and you switch coaches, you switch philosophies. And when you switch philosophies, you have different needs. And unfortunately, Raekwon Mcmillan did not fill the need. And guess what? Everybody in the NFL knows. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. So who the hell are we going to kid? You can't. You know what I mean? Now, if this was in the middle of the 90s, where it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense, and we had a whole bunch of running backs and everybody who used to run the hell out of the ball, you probably could keep Raekwon Mcmillan. But it's a passing league now. It's not a running league anymore. There's no bell cows. There's those days are done too. It's rare that a team even counts on a guy nowadays. There's only a couple of those guys left when back in the day, every team wanted a bell cow. Okay? In fact, you didn't have a bell cow, you were incomplete. You didn't have a bell cow? Your team felt naked. You were like, hey, we don't have a bell cow. We don't have a running back. And we should know because as Dolphin fans, we struggled with that for many years. Ask Marino, never had a bell cow. So you have to get versatility, and Raekwon wasn't versatile. So it's just unfortunate that you had to part ways. I still think Raekwon McMillan can be a good player in this league. Do I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler? No, I don't. It's really hard to be a Pro Bowler on 2 downs. And so Oakland's system probably fits him better. And they're good with taking him off the field and maybe bringing in a safety in his spot on 3rd down so they have more of a nickel package in there or another corner, whatever, and dime and all that stuff. So there are teams that are running those kind of schemes. Miami doesn't run that. You know what I mean? And that's why you had to make this move, unfortunately. I think he's a good player overall. I think he proved that he can play the run, but you got to put him in the right scheme. And Miami, what I love about what this front office does all the time, they don't waste time. You don't fit what we do, you're out of here. You don't like what we do, you're out of here. We're good. We're going to move on. What we're not going to do is keep putting a square peg in a round hole. If you don't fit us philosophically, you're out of here. If you don't fit us character-wise, you're out of here. If you want to be a dick like Minkah Fitzpatrick, you're out of here. Love it. That's the way it should be. Because all I ever used to see is you reeling out there Eddie Moore when Eddie Moore can't play. And you keep trying Pat White when he can't play. And you keep trying Jamar Fletcher when he can't play. And Jamar Fletcher did not fit our scheme. We're a man-on-man scheme. He was a zone guy. He actually went on to have a 10-year career. Why? Because he played in Detroit and I think another place where mostly they kept him in a zone area because he can't cover man-on-man. But yet we kind of kept putting the square peg in the round hole. You know what I mean? And it's no, let's keep whipping out Julius Thomas. But he's fat, he's slow, he can't get it done. No, but we're still going to keep rolling him out there until eventually you embarrassed yourself to a point that you had to let him go. They don't do that here. You don't play, you're on the bench. Next step, you're traded, cut, or whatever. That's what good football teams do. Now, are you going to make a mistake along the way? Hell's to the yeah, you're going to make mistakes along the way. That's what every team does. No team's perfect. Hey, the team that's won 6 Super Bowls, go check out their drafts. They're really bad, and then they got to go make it up in street free agency and things like that. And they do it. And they have also had the greatest quarterback of all time. Now we're going to see how they adjust to all of that. Okay? So if you look at the way the Dolphins handle their business, they do an exceptional job of identifying who fits, who doesn't, philosophically, mentally, physically, you name it. And then they make that change, and they don't waste any time. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make sense is why they've been losers for 20 years. Because they never figured things out. Okay? That guy can't play. He's not getting you. We're the only team that's had the same quarterback for 7 years, and the guy can't win a playoff game, can't do anything right. In the end, when the money is on the line, the kid is Foldo. And yet they kept rolling him out there, no competition. I mean, I could just go on and on and on and talk about different players at different positions that could not get it done. They drafted Kalen Ballage, right? He had a terrific rookie year that he showed you something. Screwed up the second year. They didn't waste time, and they let him go in third year. That's it. All right. Hey, man, we had to sign guys in free agency because we can't count on that guy. They're not going to keep rolling him out there. You know what I mean? And that to me makes a lot of sense. Okay? Make up your mind, move on, and get better because of it. You're worse. You keep taking steps back if you keep the same person there and they can't get the job done. That's the definition of insanity. Is you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it doesn't work. And yet, what the hell? Are you expecting the next go round for it to work? No, it's not. If it didn't work the first time, change it up. And so Raekwon McMillan is a trade that had to be made because in the end, it did not make this team better. Now you've got to go find a linebacker that is versatile, that is multiple, and maybe they have it on the roster, or maybe it'll take another year to find that guy. But for now, they will filter guys in and out that are versatile, and they'll find out if their versatility is good enough at this level. That's the key.
Question for you, to put a bow on it and send it on its way, because obviously, like the Minka thing keeps coming up. Regarding Raekwon, his coverage skill is not as bad as like Kiko Alonso, let's say.
Oh, no, it's bad.
It's bad. Okay.
No, it's
so
bad.
It's on that level. That's the way you're looking at it.
It's
so
bad. Well,
you got to go in today's – if you can't cover, man.
You know what it is, Bill? It's two different types of mistakes between both or weaknesses. Let me put it that way. Kiko's weakness is not his athleticism and that he can't keep up with somebody. Kiko's weakness is that
he would run himself into frickin' what are you doing over there, bro?
He gets fooled all the time, and he makes stupid decisions out there, and he ad-libs, and he pays the price for it. And so he's undisciplined as a linebacker out there. And I know that, a couple of times he made some plays. And
the Charger interception that fell in his lap, right?
And it's like people wanted to, like my boy Channing Crowder was one of them that, hook, line, and sinker, and he played the position. You know what I mean? And he got suckered into it, too. It happens. It happens even with former players. I see it. Okay? And he's just a guy that was undisciplined. And Raekwon's, it's not that he's undisciplined. He's just not athletic enough.
Right.
He can't stay with people in the open field. That's his problem. He can read and react.
He's probably met his threshold. And he is what he is.
He's a run guy.
This is what he is. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's the Patriots had a Florida linebacker, Brandon Spikes. I don't know if you guys remember him from Florida.
Oh, yeah.
2-down linebacker. And he didn't have a longer career because he can't cover. And the reason they kept him around, the Patriots kept him around, is because they needed him in the run situations. And they weren't deep enough, and they didn't have a multiple guy, so they kept him around a little bit until they had to replace him, and they would find a multiple player. But Brandon Spike's career lasted only because he could play the run, but he could not play the pass. And so it's
in today's football, man. If you can't cover,
it's a passing
as
league.
Often as they pass, man. Yeah, you're
passing league.
You're a liability.
What was that
on
stat?
Every play?
What was that stat I gave? I gave Andy over on Friday, 25 wide receivers topped 1,000 yards last year. Only 15 running backs topped 1,000 yards last year. So it shows you where we're at. Man. It's a passing league more than a running league, and we have less bell cows. And so that's why.
Back in the day, that was one of the formulas for going to a Super Bowl. You had to have an adequate quarterback, a defense, and a running game.
Yeah, dominant running game. Dominant running game. Not just a running game, a dominant running game. So the Raekwon McMillan trade had to be made. It was the move that you needed to make. You moved up in the draft. You got rid of a salary. You got rid of a player. Unfortunately, it's a draft pick. I get it. But again, it's to me.
If he doesn't fit the mold of what you need, man, what's the sin? Let's get somebody else. Let's get another body in there and see what's going on.
What's more important, to keep Flo around, or to appease Raekwon McMillan? You know what I mean? So you gotta you change coaches. Coach brought a different philosophy. He doesn't fit it. You move on. I love the move. I got no problem with it. I completely understand it. At least you made something out of nothing, is what you needed to do, and that's exactly what they ended up doing.